What's a company secret you can share now that you don't work there? Best Buy sells most larger appliance at cost or loss. Many of these are MSRP controlled too. Things like TVs, washer/dryer, laptops, phones, etc. do not make them any money. But the accessories to go with them make all the money. Cables, cases, mounts, bags, install, and warranty is where they make their money. We were trained to push the highest end monster cables and shit. Management didn't care if I sold 1 million TVs. They cared how many cables and mounts I sold. If you sold a TV and didn't attach accessories, you'd get additional training. The difference between the high-quality deli meat sold at MS and the regular deli meat sold in other grocery stores is that we changed the label. We would literally stop the production line, wait for the guy who ran the label machine to swap them out and then start it back up again. Ice machines are disgusting inside, full of slime. Dating websites don't want you to find love. They're designed to squeeze as much money out of you as possible before you cancel, and partly rely on people forgetting to cancel a subscription and put deliberate barriers in the cancellation process. If you don't hear music when you're supposedly on hold, the operator simply muted their mic and can still hear you. I've heard interesting and damning things while they thought I couldn't hear them. Government-funded refugee advocacy agencies at a time were approving a disproportionate amount of young women, 18 to 25, from Syria and Iraq with sexual assault history for their services. Upon further investigation, my team discovered consultants from said agency were engaging in sexual relationships with these girls. They were denying them opportunities of employment to keep them in financial destitution purposely. When the girls became desperate, the offer of private prostitution was made by the consultants. I whistle-blew to the organization heads. They thanked me and the consultants were gone the next day. Huge meeting with senior board, apologies, this isn't the way we do things. Speeches blah blah blah. And within 3 months me and the other 6 other complainants and investigators had all resigned from the company for different reasons. On paper it looks coincidental, in reality we were all individually pushed out. 2 of the consultants that we uncovered were doing the worst were not fired, they were given the option to resign and are currently working at other agencies with vulnerable young women. There's a certain bakery that makes bundt cakes. They claim they're made fresh, but they're all made weeks ahead of time, frozen and then thawed. Was a slot tech at a casino. The machines have to pay back a certain percent over a certain amount of time. Play the slot machines in the bar counters. They are set to return a higher percent in that same time, sometimes up to 8 to 10% higher than the lowest machines. Stay away from machines in high traffic areas and near the doors. I worked in the seafood industry for many years. 2 things immediately come to mind. First, don't ever buy the pre-marinated cuts of fish that are sometimes for sale at the counter. Those are cuts that are about to turn bad, or already have, and the marinade is only there to mask the poor quality and smell. Second, more of just an FYI, but a lot of the fresh lobster meat you see is made up at least partly from dead and dying lobsters. Tanks and crates are checked daily, sometimes more frequently during the summer months, and the lobsters that croaked overnight are cooked and shucked for their meat. If you see a lot of straight tails, steer clear. I was a major supplier for Walmart. They have a policy that if you sell a product to them, You may not sell that product to anyone else for the same or a lower price. This is not a written policy, because it is an illegal constraint of free trade. Nonetheless, this is their policy, and they will drop you as a supplier if you violate this unwritten and illegal policy. Movie theaters don't make money off the tickets, they make money off the food and drinks. Despite this, 99.9% of theater staff give less than 0 shits if you sneak food in. All we ask is that you're subtle enough that we don't get yelled at by the 0.1% who cared. Energy drink caffeine content have horrible quality control. Executive management knows people will buy them regardless. They are out of business now, but in the early 90s I worked at Radio Shack for a year and a half. When people would return an item because it didn't work, the manager of the store would just box it back up and sell it again as if it were new. When I asked him about it, he said, "Hopefully they will return it to a different store." I nearly got fired when I refused to sell a guy a walkie-talkie CB radio that I knew didn't work. The guy was on his way out for a hunting trip and was buying 3 of these for him and his friends. We had 2 and the third was the broken one. In front of the customer, I told the manager that one didn't work and I had tested it. The guy was happy. I told him, we arranged for him to get the last one he needed at a different store, and off he went. The manager was livid with me and nearly fired me. "I'm sorry, I'm not sending people out into the forest with gear I know doesn't work." Hilariously, a few months later the manager was caught stealing from the store and got fired. The secret ingredient of Jimmy John's tuna salad is soy sauce. Edit Kikkoman soy sauce specifically. And yes, fuck the owner for what he does to animals. Worked for a very large bank in the US. Your personal information is sold to practically anyone with $0. 15. Yes, that's right, all of your personal information, your entire purchase, and employment history would be sold for as little as 15 cents. People think that the big, bad government is spying on them, whereas the private sector is so much worse. I worked for a major alcohol distributor. They paid millions to quiet a study that revealed there was no safe amount of alcohol consumption, and the only thing linked most frequently to cancer diagnosis was alcohol consumption. After enough studies came out, this seems to be more widely known, but surprisingly to the industry has made little impact on demand. I edited videos for a fart porn website. In a lot of the videos, the girls weren't actually farting, we just put in sound effects. I resigned soon after I realized people were being sold fake farts. Gas prices are completely dependent on competition. Every morning I drive around town and write down the gas prices at other stations. If they dropped, we dropped. Gas stations will sell fuel at a loss in a gas war, because fuel isn't where they make their money. Cigarettes and soda, and beer, if they sell it, are what makes the money. I'm only sharing it because it never happened. But Nvidia was planning to launch a phone. I saw demos of it. They laughed about how bad Android looked and how locked down and low-powered the iPhone was. iPhone at the time didn't even have an app store, to give you an idea. This phone was interesting, but looking back now I can see why it never got off the ground. Its whole deal was that it would basically be what we think of as a streaming stick. It would store entire 1080p 60 movies and let you play them on a projector, for instance. It would work for presentations. Basically it was for business more than your everyday Swiss Army knife phone you have today.